falling short of the perfection that God expects neither destroys our relationship with Him, nor does it diminish His love for us. Love doesn't work that way. In fact, if anything, when we stumble and fall, it increases God's love, compassion, and mercy toward us. It gives the Father great reason to rejoice. Indeed, all heaven rejoices, not because we have fallen, but when we fall in our restoration. It's a tender relationship. It's not a mathematical relationship. It's not like God is just waiting there to zot us with a thunderbolt when we fall short. As I say, indeed, falling short does not destroy the relationship or diminish God's love. If anything, our weaknesses makes God even more tender and compassionate toward us. Look again in the Gospel of Luke. Luke 15 and verse 4. Luke 15 verse 4. Suppose one of you has 100 sheep and loses one of them. Does he not leave the 99 in the open country and go after the lost sheep until he finds it? And when he finds it, he joyfully puts it on his shoulders and goes home. Then he calls his friends and neighbors together and says, "Rejoice with me! I have found my lost sheep." I tell you that in the same way, there will be more rejoicing in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who do not need to repent. Again, our falling short doesn't destroy the relationship or the love. It almost increases it. Or suppose a woman has 10 silver coins and loses one. Does she not light a lamp, sweep the house, and search carefully until she finds it? And when she finds it, she calls her friends and neighbors together and says, "Rejoice with me, I have found my lost coin." In the same way, I tell you, there is rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. And then he continues on to the parable of the prodigal son. I won't read it here just to save the time, but it would be well worth reading. To see a father who, although his son has treated him shamefully and despised him and used him, waits every day for that moment of reconciliation. And when his son comes home thinking they're utterly unworthy, rejoices and embraces him and celebrates that his son has come home. God is not keeping score. He's just waiting for us to return the love that He gives to us. This is the relationship that God seeks. If we're doing anything else, we are building our relationship with God on a wrong foundation. Selfless love that comes from God and then flows back to God is the only right foundation for a relationship with God. Anything else is not what He seeks, is not what will please our love, who loves us. Only selfless love forms a right foundation for our relationship with God. But there are many others that we frequently use that form a wrong foundation for our relationship with God. What are some of these? Well, sometimes it's knowledge. Is our relationship with God based upon knowledge? How well we know our Bibles, how many verses we can remember, how well we know the doctrines and rubrics of the church, how well we know prophecy and history, and how well we know all the little details of what's right and wrong and what to do when and what the church teaches. Is our foundation, the foundation of our relationship with God, our knowledge? I know certainly I have been in that trap. For 26 years, I spent my life trying to know about God. And then finally realized knowing about God is not the same as knowing God. God calls us to fall in love with Him, not to know about Him. It's like turning to your wife and you say, "You know, dear, I've come to understand through diligent study that I love you." It just doesn't work that way. So is knowledge the foundation of our relationship with God? If so, it's the wrong foundation. Is it responsibility? We're going to do God's work, as if God needs someone to do His work. Is it being the responsible son or the responsible daughter? Maybe that's what we grew up with in our household, and we do the same thing with God. We're going to do what we have to do. We're going to follow the rules. We're going to do God's work and be task-oriented. Our foundation with God is built upon responsibility, doing the right thing, being the responsible child. If it is, well, it's much better than being irresponsible, but it's not the foundation of our relationship with God. Is it built upon our human good? Upon our sense of feeling good for the good things that we do and we're making the world a better place, and, is it built upon that human, selfish good? If it is, it's built upon the wrong foundation. Now, we don't only do this individually. We can do this corporately when we come together as a group, we come together as church, and we build our relationship with God on the wrong foundation. And we become the church of doing the right thing. Or we become the church that has the right knowledge. Or we become the church of nice people. Rather than the church of God's children who love Him, who accept His love and return His love, who love Him with all their heart and souls and mind and strength. The church of the right knowledge, the church of the right things, and the church of nice people is not the right foundation. It's the church of the loving children of God. Now, this is nothing new. People have been building their relationship with God on the wrong foundation all throughout the pages of the Bible. And in fact, that's exactly where we're going to go next. Let's go back through the pages of the Bible to learn from experience so we don't have to repeat the same mistakes, and look at some examples of outstanding servants of God who had their foundation in the wrong place. And God would take no end of measure, because He loved them, to put them now upon the right foundation, because only selfless love, as God has loved within Himself for forever, can form the right foundation for our relationship with God.
The Christian Journey book and the full-sized, full-quality, complete video series are available for free download at www.spiritualoutreach.com.